Hey seniors, welcome to another day of solving equations, and today we're going to be working on distributing with multi-step equations. So let's go ahead and jump in. On your notes page, go ahead and draw your line and go ahead and write distributing multi-step equations in the top left-hand corner. You don't have to write this down, this should be a review, just be with me. To solve multi-step equations, our first step is to distribute if we have to in our equation, which of course means to share the love and to multiply the outside number by everything in the parentheses. Our second step will be to combine, which means to put like terms together. Combine your variables, combine your constants. And then of course to solve for the variable, which we do by isolating our variable and then solving for it. Let's go ahead and do an example. Go ahead and write example 1 on your notes page, and then 3 parentheses 2m minus 4 equals negative 24. My pen is your pen. Make sure that you write down everything that I write down. My first step is to distribute, and I see that because I have an outside number next to a parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply 3 by everything inside. 3 times 2m is going to give me 6m. And then 3 times negative 4 is going to give me negative 12. That's going to equal negative 24. I want to isolate my variable, so I need to get rid of this 12. I do that by adding 12 to both sides. My 12s will cancel out. That leaves me with 6m equals negative 24 plus 12 is going to give me negative 12. I'm going to solve for m by dividing both sides by 6. My 6's will cancel out. I'm left with m equals negative 12 divided by 6, leaves me with negative 2. Let's go ahead and check our work by plugging in negative 2 for m. Alright, so 3 plugging in negative 2 for m minus 4 equals negative 24. Here I have to remember my order of operations, which means that I have to deal with my parentheses first. So 2 times negative 2 is going to give me negative 4 minus 4. Again, the rest of my problem stays the same. Negative 4 minus 4 is going to leave me with negative 8. The rest of my problem stays the same. 3 times negative 8 is going to give me negative 24. And since both sides equal negative 24, I was correct in saying that m equals negative 2. Let's do another one. Go ahead and write example 2, and then 5 parentheses x plus 2 equals x plus 22. Again, I see that I'm going to have to distribute. So my first step is to multiply 5 by everything inside the parentheses. 5 times x is 5x. And then 5 times 2 is 10. That's going to leave me with x plus 22 on the other side. I know I have to isolate my variable, so I'm going to move x over to the left side. And it's positive, so I know I'm going to subtract x in order to get rid of it. My x's will cancel out. 5x minus x leaves me with 4x plus 10, which equals 22. I still have to isolate my variable, and since 10 is positive and I want to get rid of it, I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So I'm left with 4x equals 22 minus 10 gives me 12. I'm going to solve for x by dividing both sides by 4. My 4's canceled out. I'm left with x equals 12 divided by 4 is 3. So x equals 3. Let's go ahead and check our work by plugging that back in. So I was left with x equals 3. Again, I'm just going to substitute 3 for x. All right, so I have 5, 3 plus 2 equals 3 plus 22. All right, if by my order of operations, I know I have to deal with my parentheses first, so I'm going to bring 5 down. 3 plus 2 is 5, and then 3 plus 22 equals 25. 5 times 5 is 25, and since both sides equal 25, I know that I was right by saying x equals 3. Let's do another one. All right, guys, go ahead and write example 3 down, and then 1/2 parentheses 2x minus 4 equals 4x plus 1. Don't freak out about the fraction. This is the same process. I see that I'm going to have to distribute, so I'm going to multiply 1/2 by 2x. And this is the same as if I was multiplying 1/2 by 2. So if I'm multiplying 1/2 by 2x, if I want to turn this 2x into a fraction, I can just put it over 1. And then I'm left with, all I have to do now is multiply across. 1 times 2x is 2x. And then 2 times 1 is 2. My 2's will cancel out, And so I'm just left with x. And then I'm going to multiply 1/2 by -4. This one I can do in my head. And I know that half of -4 is -2. But if I wanted to multiply it out, in case it was a crazier fraction, I would do the same thing. 1/2 and then -4. I could put -4 over 1. And then all I have to do now is multiply across. 1 times -4 is -4. And then 2 times 1 is 2. -4 divided by 2 is -2. So I was correct. And then, of course, I just pull down the other side of my equation. Now, my next step is that I want to combine like terms, and I want to get my variables and my constants on opposite sides of the equation. So, 4x is very, very positive, so I'm going to go ahead and move x, which is the smaller variable, over. So since x is positive, to get rid of it, I'm going to subtract x from both sides. My x's will cancel out. I'm left with -2 equals 4x minus x, leaves me with 3x plus 1. Now, I still got to get my variable isolated on one side. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides. My 1's will cancel out. I'm left with -3 equals 3x. In order to isolate x, I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 3. My 3's will cancel out. I'm left with x equals -3 divided by 3 is going to give me -1, because I see that my signs are different. And if I were to write x equals -1, it doesn't matter. Either way you write it, it means the same thing. That, of course, is answer choice B. Let's go ahead and plug back -1 in to make sure that we were correct. All right, so I am plugging in -1 for x. Four times -1 plus 1. All right, again, by the order of operations, I know I have to deal just with the parentheses first. So I'm going to bring down 1/2. 2 times -1 is going to give me -2 minus 4. And then 4 times -1 is going to be -4 plus 1. All right, again, I'm going to bring down my 1/2 because I'm still dealing with my parentheses. -2 minus 4 is going to give me -6. The -4 plus 1 is going to give me -3. Half of -6, which is the same as putting 6 over 1 and multiplying, is going to give me -6 over 2 equals -3. -6 divided by 2 is going to give me -3, and since both sides equal -3, our answer choice of x equals -1 is correct. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Let's go ahead and practice.